I'm thrilled to have our friend back, Burleigh Drummond. And as he fixes his hair, which is, he doesn't need to fix his hair. It's a beautiful thing. We used to have this beautiful dark hair. What happened? Burleigh,
I'm
what
just
happened?
I'm happy I have anything up there, to be
Well,
honest.
that's true. That's true. Half of my friends from high school with the beautiful hair, they're bald.
All
So,
right. I
I
call it
mean,
I call it the coveted tuft.
that's pretty good. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Well, if you don't know, where you been? I mean, where you been? The drummer for the very, very famous Ambrosia. Not the ambrosia, not the marshmallow, not the fruit, the ambrosia, the 70s whirlwind band that when I used to listen to this band, Burleigh, I have to say over and over and over, my mother would say, "How many times are you going to play that song? Enough already." I mean, I love the song, you love the song. How many times can you possibly play one song? But that was me with How Much I Feel.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And and How Much I Feel was always just tremendous to me. And I said that the last time we got together, but it was just one of my favorites of all time. Forget the favorites of Ambrosia, it was one of my favorites of all time.
Oh, well,
What's going on recently?
well, we actually have 2 weeks off, 2 weeks home, which is amazing. We've been out every weekend, I think, for the last 4 months, and starting next year, we'll be doing the same. Uh, we're doing a lot of these. We're doing a lot of shows with Three Dog Night now, so we're
Oh,
going out with them. I think we're doing like 30 dates with them next year, and then we do do Ambrosia, and just Ambrosia, which is my favorite. And then we also do a lot of this yacht rock the dock, yacht rock, where we back up other artists. And I mean, we're touring more than we ever have. It's and next year looks to be the biggest one of all. So it's getting crazy.
isn't that tremendous that now, years after this band was established and you're still going strong and you're still Ambrosia?
Right, right, yes. Unfortunately, one of our keyboard player, Christopher North, came down with throat cancer a couple years ago.
Oh.
So he just recovered from that, and now he's in the hospital with pneumonia. So we're asking everybody to say some prayers for him, hoping he can get out soon. He's really fighting it. It's pretty bad right now. So
And by the way, very talented. Joe Porta,
yeah.
of course, Dave Pack. I mean, you couldn't be put together with three better guys.
No, no kidding. I mean, I truly treasure the opportunity I've had to play with those guys. It was like it was like a it was weird that the four of us came from such different things in things in music, like different styles, different, but we just kind of fed each other and it all worked out.
Now, how so? Now, your influence was African Indian music for the most part.
Well, ethnic music, African Indian and jazz. I was really into jazz. Of course, everybody appreciated everything. I mean, I loved the Beatles. I loved everything. But Chris was blues and blues. And Joe was Rolling Stones, kind of the bad boy of rock and roll. And Dave
Mhm.
was the Beach Boy harmony. Uh, but we shared everything and we loved everything and we influenced each other and it was great. Yeah.
And you were born in Kansas. I know that
Fort
near
Leavenworth.
Wizard of Oz land. When I thought of Kansas, coming from New York area, when I heard Kansas, Kansas was like a foreign country. When I used to watch the Wizard of Oz, I would say, "Whoa, Kansas is so flat. It's so rural. It's so." How was life in Kansas?
Oh, I mean, I was a kid and I was born on a military base, Fort Leavenworth. Um, and now we haven't really gotten to the bottom of that. Why was my dad at a military prison camp in Kansas? Um,
Leavenworth.
yeah, Fort Leavenworth.
Wow.
So I was consummated in Japan. And I think my parents got busted on Mount Fuji in the act of consummating me. And I think that's why my dad was in Fort Leavenworth for a minute.
What, you came in with a bang, my
Yeah.
goodness,
Oh yeah, sure.
so
Yeah.
to speak.
Yeah, I've always felt close to Japan for some reason.
There's a good reason. There's a good reason. That's a very interesting story. Mount Fuji. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, right.
Wow, wow, wow. So you, and also I know, and I have these little tidbits. A lesbian bar was the place where you kind of cut your teeth.
Well, as we know, we before we even had a deal, we were we were playing, playing whatever we could, And one of the places we played would be the free clinics, because they would do these fundraisers for the free clinic and they give us something. But it was back in the day where they'd have a huge punch bowl, right? And they'd have acid in the punch bowl, So you can just imagine like an entire crowd, hundreds of people just flying high, and the band too, but it was those were the days anyway. And then
I
yeah,
gotta ask you, what is an acid trip like? What was the acid trip? I mean,
well,
for a lightweight like me, you got to tell me.
no, I'm very I'm inexperienced with acid. I somehow got through that without going there, but
Really?
yeah, but but playing for a group of people just with their mouths open and the glassy eyes and just like it was interesting. But then we got a deal, and when we were recording the album, we had to kind of make a living uh, on our own. So because all the money went into recording, and then but one block down the street from the studio was a female gay bar, a lesbian bar, and that's where we started playing rhythm and blues a lot, because that's what they liked, that's what they danced to, and things like that. And that's where we really kind of uh, developed our groove, so to speak. We had the all the prog stuff because we were influenced by King Crimson and Yes and Genesis, but the R&B thing was it's a whole different slice of music,
Mhm. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's where, yeah, that's where we that came from just 4 hours a night playing groove, and
and and Genesis was one of your main influences. Didn't you say that?
oh yeah, Genesis, King Crimson, Emerson, Lake and Palmer,
Hmm.
and then yeah, so all those bands, and then that's how songs like "Living on My Own," "Biggest Part of Me," "How Much I Feel," all those kind of songs started coming out of the band because of what we played. You kind of become what you play or you're influenced by. So that's how the R&B side of Ambrosia came about.
And Yes, and Genesis and ELP is a far cry from what this music turned out to be, which is very interesting to me. Because Yes would play this eclectic kind
Right.
of prog. Yeah, you named it prog. And but who was the person, or maybe it was you, that said, let's go in this direction? Anybody
Well,
take you in a little different direction?
I would have to say that the first two albums we did were proggish, and much more so. Nice, nice, very nice, and Time Waits, all those odd meter things, and then around the third album, Dave walked in with How Much I Feel, and at first we didn't know. We didn't know if we should cut the song or we should give the song to somebody, because it was such a radical departure from what we had done. But we kind of came to the conclusion, uh, we looked at the Beatles. Okay, the Beatles did, I'm the Walrus, and they did Yesterday, and it's kind of like, well, wait a minute. Why should we limit ourselves to being one thing? And, unfortunately, record companies nowadays don't like that. Or even back then, they wanted to pigeonhole you into something. So we did How Much I Feel, and of course it did well, but it caused a lot of uh, controversy, like because before at that time there was FM and AM, and
Mhm.
FM we were FM babies. They loved us because we were the proggish band, but we were, had melody and all that. And then all of a sudden we have How Much I Feel come out, and that's total AM. That was mainstream commercial, and we'd go to the FM stations and they'd be pissed off at us. Like, oh, you sold out. You did this. Even though we had like Life Beyond LA on the same album, you know, it's like so anyway, we kind of bore the brunt of that for a while. And then nowadays it all seems to work together. It's like that the vision of music isn't so, then you have guys like Phil Collins, of course, who come from Genesis and they went out and had really commercial tunes, and everybody's kind of relaxed on that now. You don't have to be a purist, you just
That,
have to.
that brings me back to disco and rock when they were Clash. That's a little bit in the 70s when the disco
Sure.
people were here and
Yeah.
the other side was there and they'd come together. They couldn't stand each other. Yeah, but your commercial success was probably envied by these people. So that's why they felt the way they felt.
Well, that it's kind of interesting because, we did a lot of we do a lot of cruises, musical cruises. And one of them, the Yes cruise, which was, put together by Yes, the group, they asked for us, for Ambrosia to be on the cruise. And so we thought, oh, okay, we'll just go do all our Prague stuff, and we did, and a great reception, fantastic. But then at the end of it, we just said, fuck, excuse my language,
You could say it. It's okay.
fuck, yeah, we said, fuck it when we played Biggest Part of Me. And the place just went nuts, you know. So for all that talk about, oh, being a purist about something, no, the bottom line is the song is good, it's good.
Hey, good music is good music. That's why these songs hold up today because they're just as good today. That's how some of these songs that I hear from that I enjoyed maybe 1980, I put
Uh-huh.
them on 45 years later, they don't play very well. But your
Oh.
stuff hangs in there beautifully.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, that's very nice to hear. Thanks.
And that's really the truth. And we talked about drumming the last time we got together, and that was interesting because I pounded away on the drums. My father surprised me with a drum set one year, and it was off I went. How
Uh,
did it go from bugle? Now I know this little tidbit. How did it go from bugle in the army, or on an army base, not in the army, but on an army base, to drums?
well, there was a few things in the way. I mean, I played bugle and then my parents got me an accordion, and I spent a little time on the accordion, and then I started my neighbor, my buddy in a little neighborhood I lived in. He got a little toy drum set, and I just kind of destroyed it. And so, I went to my parents and said, "Hey, I think, I gotta mow lawns or something. I gotta replace his drum set because and they go, maybe we should get you a drum set." And so that's where it started. But
That's fantastic.
I was the most unnatural drummer you ever saw.
Really?
Oh
Really?
yeah.
Why do you say that?
I didn't, I just had a different mindset about it. I thought, I was trying to play melodically, you know, and, of course, drums, first and foremost, tend to be more of a rhythmic support instrument, but not me. I thought, I, I thought everybody enjoyed my explorations as much as I did.
That's a good word. Yeah, I mean, hey, my dad used to say, "Play me a song." I said, "I can't." He wasn't a musician, obviously.
Yeah,
I can't play his song, Dad. That's not really the way it works. But you did play piano. I
yeah.
know that too. You studied a long time, or you practiced a long time on piano, right?
Well, no, my piano influence was through in college. I went to UCLA as a music major, and of course, walking in, everybody played piano except me, and it was kind of like I had some major catch up to do. So I was playing piano 4 to 6 hours a day, just trying to hang in there, so that I could, be part of the conversation. But I still those couple years in college doing that was my formation for writing and everything. And luckily, I'm married to one of a great keyboard player.
That's true.
So
That helps.
yeah, so I'll play a few little things, like an idea for a song or something like that, And she just sits down and goes, I think this is what you were trying to do.
Well, she has that ear that you can't teach that ear. That ear is either there or it's not there.
No, she's amazing. Yeah.
And by the way, you play with her I put it in a very strange way. You play music with her these days the same as always, right? I mean, you're still going with that little band. That's a fantastic duo, you two.
Oh, thank you. I mean, we did Tin Drum and we did 3 albums. And we're actually reforming and going to do some more. But in the meantime, during COVID, we did the family band, which now is getting booked. I didn't. I mean, I was always open to that fact, but I didn't have time because of Ambrosia to really pursue it. And now it's getting calls out of the blue. Hey, I've discovered your band.
What kind of venues? What kind of venues these days?
Well, a typical venue would be like the Nashville Social Club in Carson City or the Annex down here in San Pedro. So I would say, 200 to 300 seats, something like that. So, and it's perfect for us because the family band is very intimate. It's a lot of storytelling and, you know, things
That
like that.
sounds ideal. That sounds ideal because I'll tell you something. When I go to a big concert, I
Yeah.
feel lost in the shuffle. If I'm sitting a mile away and the
Oh,
the
yeah.
the musicians are like little ants down there, I can't even. That's not a good experience. I like a small venue.
No, I agree with you 100%. I'd much rather be on top of somebody than, yeah,
Do you feel as
absolutely.
enthusiastic now as ever before? Honestly.
Yeah, I'd have to say we are. I mean, I mean, we have a good group right now. We have a guy, Shem Von Schreck, is playing keyboards and singing tenor, and Doug Jackson. So the musicianship is at a very high level, and it's like I never feel like I can just phone it in. Or, I mean, I still practice. I practice to go play Ambrosia because it's that demanding.
And you mentioned how it started out, those first two albums. Many people don't know this. They think of Ambrosia, How Much I Feel, You're the Only Woman,
Yeah.
but they don't know that those first two albums were what you said. They were very Yes-like, very ELP-like. And
Hmm.
that's a whole different thing. Now, when it transitioned, this is fascinating to me. And you heard though, and who came with, for instance, who came with the song "You're the Only Woman"? Who was the person or persons that brought that to the table?
Well, I mean, the song is officially written by Dave Pack. But a lot of those things we would rehearse like, 5 days a week, 6 hours a day. So there was so much jamming going on that so many songs actually were created or had their impetus starting in the little jam sessions. People would have just, two or three chords, and then, the groove would start, and then, somebody would go home and write a lyric to it. And then all of a sudden there's the song. But I'd have to say that was Dave Pack, who brought that in.
Now you
Dave Pack,
sang. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
well, Dave Pack was very smart because he would, everybody would record everything, but he would actually go home and write lyrics to stuff that we did. So, that made it a song, you know what I mean? So, I have to give him credit for that.
And you know how they call people very easily these days? Well, he's a genius. This one's a genius. Everybody's a genius. This guy that you mentioned, Dave Pack, he was.
Yeah.
And he
He,
can really write, and so could you. I'm not taking anything away
oh,
from
no,
you,
no.
but since we're talking about Dave, I mean, the guy's incredible. I can't get him on the show, but that's okay. But the guy is incredible. He was very much a genius when it came to music, don't you think?
I think he's one of the most talented writer players, that I've ever had the opportunity to work with. I truly treasure the time. It's like any band, it's like a marriage, and not everything's groovy every day, but in the big picture, he's amazingly talented.
And do you resent the yacht rock label, or should I even talk about that?
No, I don't mind. I at first I didn't really get it, like because nobody shows up at our concerts in a yacht. I mean, uh, But whatever it is, I mean, it's kind of a funny moniker for that style of music. I guess it's Christopher Cross's Sailing is the template for
That's
it, you know.
yes.
But I appreciate it now, and I have to admit that as much as I love doing the Ambrosia show, which is my first preference, just the deep cuts and all that, playing 2 hours of number one hits, it feels pretty good. And the audience, the impact of hearing one big hit after another, the audience goes crazy. It's like,
Hey, hey, let's face it, they want to hear what they used to listen to on the radio.
yeah,
And they, when you, a lot of the artists, they go out there, they feel resentful when they play the old stuff sometimes, but the old stuff mixed in with the new stuff, whatever you have going, it's
uh-huh,
a perfect combination because people want to hear this stuff. I
right.
know if I went to a concert and I didn't hear how much I feel, I'd feel shortchanged.
Exactly, exactly. Uh, yeah, I mean, I know there's artists that try to move on. Like I say, for instance, Bruce Hornsby, who, he was actually in Ambrosia for about 6 months. He was our,
Really?
yeah, he was our keyboard player. But I think you go to his shows and he'll do a version of a song that you love and hope to hear, and you won't even recognize it because he's taken it so far out.
He's changed it.
Yeah, and I can't critique him for that or criticize him because he's following his artistic muse, and then that's great. So uh I think, I know Todd Rundgren does something similar. He has done that too. So I think it's, you got to satisfy yourself as an artist. For us, I mean, we have such a certain amount of pride in what we created, and we're still trying to play it to the best of our ability. So it's not like we feel like we've done that and move on. We feel like we're still trying to perfect it.
What's your approach to one of the oldies, the ones that are very well known? For instance, you go in, you play, I don't know, You're the Only Woman. Do you approach it to try to duplicate, maybe a bad word, but duplicate, I'll say it, duplicate the way it was recorded, or do you take a improvisational kind of a bent on the thing?
I'd say somewhere in between, because like the band we are now, and playing with a band. Oh, Steve Gadd put it perfectly. He goes, "You play when you're playing with other people. Every bar of music is a negotiation." You know what I'm saying? Because
Interesting.
you're reacting, they're reacting to you, you're reacting to them. It's like so. I'd say that no, we don't intentionally try to recreate the record. I think we just try to make the best of what we have at that moment. So it does change, it does morph. The feel might be slightly different. Depends on who's singing it. Like say Joe's singing a lot of the hits now that Dave sang. So he has a different groove when he sings. So, you want to, as a drummer, you want to try to bring that out and make the best of it rather than trying to force him to be something he's not. You know what I mean?
How difficult is it when you're on stage, people screaming, to get that bond that you need, to play off of each other and you're looking and you're timing and everything else. How difficult is that? Do you guys have it ingrained because you've been together for such a long time, or is it still very challenging?
I think it's always a challenge, yeah, because every situation is different, sound wise, the setup, it's like, yeah, for me, it's a different drum set every night, so it's kind of like, okay,
True.
how do I make this feel like home? So yeah, it's a challenge. Yeah.
You just said something that's very unusual. You have to get used to a different set, a drum set every night.
Sure. I mean, because
Wow.
well, I'd say 90% of the time because we're doing fly dates, which you can't get it's impossible to take a drum set on an airplane now.
That's true.
And they have there's a whole business called backline where all the instruments are provided, the keyboards, the bass amps, the guitar amps, the drums, everything. So Yeah, I spend probably a couple hours a day just trying to, make it comfortable, And of course you get there and they've set the whole thing up wrong with the mics in, so you got to break it all down and redo it, so it's a lot. That's the work part of it.
Yeah, that sounds very difficult every single time. You
Sure.
have to kind of make it your own every single time.
Yeah,
That's
you
that's
think,
that's tough.
yeah, they'll have different heads on it than you're used to. They'll have different, symbols, that, it's like, okay, you wanted an 18-inch thin and you got an 18-inch thing that looks like, it came out of the war, used as a bomb shelter thing. It's like
Is
so
it
it's
that
it's
bad? Is it that
no,
bad sometimes?
no, I mean that's a worst case scenario, but it
Yeah.
can run the gamut. And
Wow.
sometimes you get sometimes you'll get a drum. I mean, this is funny, just a drum, just so you have a drum set. Usually, every gig you play, there's something in that drum set that's amazing. Like it'll be the kick drum, or the snare drum will just be like, this is
Yeah.
blessed by God. This snare drum is so good, and you just concentrate on that drum, or or that drum becomes the feature.
No, I get it. A good snare is hard to find, as
Oh
they say.
man.
They used to say a good woman is hard to find. I say a good snare is hard to find. And that's that's so true. But how would you describe your way of drumming, your style? Do you have anything for the folks to describe how you approach your instrument?
Uh, well, I mean, the band members think that I play on the backside, so that I have. Um, but I like to. I have a favorite blues drummer that um, he put it the way I like to feel it. Okay, I play on the backside, but I play on the backside with an attitude. You know, in other words, I'm not trying to just be laid back. It's just where I feel it, but I can feel it strong. You know what I mean? So uh, I would say that's my style. I'm not as chops oriented as I used to be, because it just feels, I don't know, a little pretentious,
Mm.
chops for chops sake. I know there's guys that made a career out of that, but I'm more into making the singer and the song feel good and be memorable than, trying to be the center of attention, you know.
What if I gave you a few drummers off the top of my head,
Sure.
and you're even if it's bad, even if you think they're overrated, I'm going to trust you to be honest. And if they're great, they're great. I'll
Okay.
give you a few. The late Keith, he's been gone for so long. The
Keith
late
Moon,
Keith Moon.
he was my idol. I thought he was,
Really, really. Wow.
oh my God. I don't think I've ever seen anything as exciting as Keith Moon. Yeah. I mean, and not just me, like they played a bunch of drummers for Elvin Jones one time, and
Hmm.
the one he responded to was Keith Moon.
Really.
Keith Moon was genius. I mean, what
Sure.
he did was genius. I mean, his whole approach. I mean, he even got rid of the hi-hat. He didn't need it anymore. You know what I mean?
That's true.
And it's interesting about him, he when they come off the road, well, first of all, he never made any money because he caused so much damage on the road. But he they get back together.
Trash in hotels, ruining drum sets. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but he kind of wrote his own script, It's like, how most guys they'll play, like the ride cymbal will be the eighth notes. He'll do the eighth notes on the bass drum, and the rest of the time it's like, I mean,
Nice.
he was unscripted, and you couldn't tell him, he just was Keith Moon.
And he was all arms flailing. It was. I don't know. Somebody described him. I can't remember the word that they used, but just the fact that how you're kind of a wrist kind of action. Most
Uh-huh.
guys are a lot of wrist. He was all over the place
Yeah.
and very interesting. I remember that I knew he was going to die young,
Yeah.
and sure enough, he died. I think he died in '79, and what a shame because he
Oh,
was tremendous.
right. Oh man, but the recordings alone are like just brilliant. drumming. I mean,
Do you have a favorite Who song?
oh, Pictures of Lily.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah.
Oh, I have one for you, Buddy
Yeah.
Rich.
Oh, Buddy Rich. I mean, freak. He was, I mean, just he could do, I mean, so my drum teacher was Freddie Gruber, who was good friends with Buddy Rich. So I'd hear about Buddy all the time. And I mean, Buddy, I mean, people are still trying to figure out how he did what he did. You know, he just had a connection to uh, a drumstick in his hand, and his hands could just do things that, people spend their life trying to figure out how did he do that, I mean, it's just genius. And and his musical ability, he didn't read. So he had a sax player in the band that could play drums. So when he got a new arrangement, he would have that guy play it for the first time, and then Buddy Rich, it was locked in his head. He knew
Incredible.
he never had to hear it again, and he owned it, you know.
He could not tolerate untalented people, lazy people.
No,
There's
no.
there's a very good YouTube video, or it's an audio actually. You should
Oh,
listen
about
to
him
it.
on the
He's
bus?
he's on the bus. Yeah, you know it. He's on
Yeah.
the bus and he's undressing these guys. It's just, oh my God, humiliating these guys. They probably deserved it, but my gosh, he was. And I remember him sitting on the Tonight Show with Carson,
Uh-huh.
and he was a character. He was
Yeah.
a character.
Oh
How about
man.
How about Ringo Starr?
Well, I think Ringo in his own way was a genius. I mean, he was the perfect drummer for the Beatles. I mean, and to me, I mean, you could take all the music away and just hear a drum track of a Beatles song, and you knew what song it was. Because he just he could put that character in there, and he didn't have to be, uh, you know, demanding attention and everything. He would just be supporting the band. But then you listen to some of the stuff he played, like Tomorrow Never Comes, and I mean, just off the wall. I'm the Walrus. All those weird kind of Strawberry Fields. It was brilliant.
Yeah. And he doesn't get the credit.
It's so funny to me. I mean, that because he really was the guy that held that band together. I mean the band. I mean, I'm not. I mean, they were all good. They were all good at what they did, but Ringo was the one that, when you hear when they would release the 20 takes of a song they did, Ringo was playing it great from take one. You know,
That's actually, I heard the tapes. I forget what, oh my gosh, some very iconic song that I can't remember. But,
yeah.
and Ringo was right there from the start. You're so right about that.
Yeah, and it's like and it took the other guys 20 takes to get it together, but Ringo was already
I'll give you one to burn some bridges.
okay.
The most overrated band, we won't go focus on an artist, but the most overrated band ever that got
Wow.
so much praise but didn't deserve it.
I, are you asking me to come up with that?
Yeah, you don't
Uh,
have to. If you want to pass, you can pass.
I don't know.
Like some band where people were making a big deal about these guys or gals or whomever, but you said, as a great musician yourself, you said to yourself, "Oh, come on, why are they? What's the big deal with these people?"
I don't know if I have an answer for that.
Okay,
Yeah.
how
I
about a band that never got its due?
hmm. Hmm. I'm sure there's many, many,
Like, I don't
many.
mean an unknown, maybe, a flash in the pan, maybe a one-hit wonder, and you wonder why they never came back. Anything come to mind?
Well, I can say I like some drummer. I'll talk about just a drummer in particular.
Okay.
I mean, to me, like Mitch Mitchell from Jimi Hendrix was, to me, genius. The way he brought jazz into rock and roll. But after after Jimmy, after Jimmy passed, I didn't hear him rise to that level, and I'm that makes me sad because I thought he had a lot to offer, and I guess the opportunity didn't come, or personal, who maybe he had personal things or something. But I his the work he did with Hendrix was just, unbelievable.
And here's a question. How good, you knowing firsthand, how great was Jimi Hendrix? Was he
Oh,
everything that we think he was?
I think he was. I really do. So, we got to know Leonard Bernstein really well,
Oh,
and we spent a
mhm.
lot of time with him. And I remember arguing late into the night with him about Jimi Hendrix because he thought he was just another guitar player, and I was going, "No, you're wrong. I think Jimmy, I thought he was genius, in his own, and you know, genius comes in many forms, and it's hard to say, one's better or the other. But I think what he did, oh man, it's crazy.
It was like he had about 20 fingers instead of 10. I mean, I don't know what he was doing things that was just incredible. I didn't really dig the, I was a kid when when he died. I mean, I was 11 years old. I think he died in 71, like they all died in 71, it seems.
Yeah.
But he was just phenomenal. But and I saw him sitting on a talk show one time, very shy, very strange, very shy. Did you know him personally?
No, 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 I never met him. I did get to meet Mitch Mitchell. So it's so funny. Like I said, I used to study with uh, this famous drum teacher. And one day, Jim Keltner was hanging out with Mitch Mitchell, and they come and they sit in on my lesson. They watch me taking a lesson from Freddie Gruber, the immortal drum teacher. And I got to meet Mitch Mitchell, and sweetheart, just a total sweetheart,
Very nice guy.
unassuming. Yeah, very nice guy. Yeah.
Hmm. Who's the nicest guy in the business? Who's the guy that you said, "Well, I want to work with that person again," or woman that you want to work with again? Anybody?
Well, yeah, Michael McDonald, without a doubt.
Oh, one of
Just,
my favorites.
he's just the sweetest, humblest, you know, you know, I mean, he'll go out of his way for you, it's like, but I could talk about drummers though. I mean, two drummers that have totally impressed me beyond their playing skill was Jim Keltner and Louis Bellson. I I got to meet Louis Bellson once and Jim Keltner, and they both do the same thing. You start telling them how much they've affected your career and how much they've meant to you, and they turn it around right away, and they start talking about you. And it's like that. Both of them blew me away that way. It wasn't, they were humble, and they sought out. They wanted to talk about you more than talk about them. And it was like I really appreciated the
That's a
opportunity.
sign of a very content, very confident person when they just
Yeah.
put it on the other person. Yeah, I love that. I love
Yeah.
that. So your schedule these days. What are you on the road? How many days per year are you traveling?
Well, I would be safe. I think it's safe to say that we'll probably do next year. We'll probably do 80 to 100 dates.
That's
Um,
quite a few.
yeah, our typical story is we go out on a Wednesday or a Thursday, come back on a Sunday or a Monday. So, uh, um, we're home maybe 2 days a week. 2 or 3 days a week, and
Is
the
your
rest.
is your wife happy with that?
Uh,
Let's
yes.
ask her. Let's ask her. No, it's okay. Are you
I
happy with that?
well,
Do you want to stay home more?
she's out
I'm
doing her
kidding.
4 mile run.
She's doing her thing. I'm sorry. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
No, but yeah, at times you're burned out. At times it gets to you. Like that last plane ride home, it's like, well, but we love it. We chose to do it, and it's like it's fun. The band, being in the band is it's a good hang. I love everybody in the band. So, it's not like I'm suffering out there, you know.
What are some that, and we're almost going to wrap it up, but what are some outside interests? I know music is your life for the most part, but what are some outside interests?
Well, this may sound funny, but I love pulling weeds.
Oh, that's one of mine for sure. Really?
I
You're into
do. I
you
absolutely
can
do.
come by anytime because we can.
Yeah, I've got a huge hill yard area, and I find a lot of peace in pulling weeds.
Nothing wrong with that. That's actually, very nice.
Yeah.
You get outside and
Oh yeah, yeah. My wife thinks I'm nuts, but I do enjoy
the weed puller.
it.
All right.
Or gardening in
But
general. I like gardening.
yeah, it's beautiful. My wife is very good outside. I just do what she tells me to do. If she says go dig that up, I dig that up. In fact, we're gonna go do some work today, as a matter of fact. She's gonna be the lead, the captain. I'm just
Oh
gonna
yeah, yeah.
go
Sure.
right with the flow there. So
Yeah.
what's the next date so we could tell everybody
Oh
to
yeah. Okay.
show up if they can?
That's a good question. I need to figure that out myself. Oh, we're going to Baton Rouge, the Manship Theater, and then we're going to Monroe, North Carolina. Uh,
Wow.
in a week, we're going to do that, and that'll be fun.
Do you have a favorite state to play in?
Uh, no, I can't say I do. I really enjoy everywhere we go. And my wife and I are really trying to uh spend a little more time when we go somewhere to enjoy it rather than just hitting the hotel, hitting the gig, going back to the airport. If we can grab an extra day somewhere, we'll do it.
Do you see young people in the audience as much as the oldsters?
Yeah. That's one good thing about the yacht rock thing is like I mean, so yeah, grandparents they're there, the parents are there, and the younger kids are there. It's really becoming more and more family. You see a lot of 30-year-olds with the captain's hats on and all that. So, hey, as long as they appreciate it, then I appreciate it being there.
And one more, do when you travel, is it just you, or do you have you have other bands that play the gig?
Off and on, off and on, we'll be we do a lot of this yacht rock stuff with Peter Beckett from Player, John Forcoli from England, Dan, John Forcoli, Elliot Lurie from Looking Glass, Brandy. So so we play with those guys. So if we're doing more than one date in a row with them, we'll travel with them, and it's a lot of camaraderie going on now.
Well, I want to thank you once again for taking time. I know you're busy pulling weeds, so you got to get back to it. But I want to thank you very much, Burleigh. We'll say, and again, I call you every few months. We get on board again. So thank you.
Hey, my pleasure. Thank you, Ralph.
Okay, you take care.
All right, buddy. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.